Hello, what is up, everybody? My name is Mario Pichardo. Welcome to another video, another episode. I've put out a lot of stuff that hasn't gotten a lot of traction. And, you're new when you're new to YouTube, when you're new to a search engine, um, you don't have a lot of videos up. That's to be expected, for sure. I don't expect to get uh, even 100 views. I'd probably be getting one or two or three every now and again. um so maybe I shouldn't be expecting anything consistent, but to see the censorship ramp up on YouTube and to go from blocking people, big channels like Infowars that had incredible, no, I mean, that was a big channel, um to now people with hundreds of thousands. They went after Crowder recently with the whole Carlos Maza thing. Carlos had, or Steven Crowder had, I think he had like over 1 million. They demonetized his channel. They don't take him off the platform because they recognize that, well, if we take him off the platform, we're gonna have to take other people off the platform because that wouldn't be fair. It wouldn't look right in the people's eyes, and they're right. It wouldn't, precisely because it is not fair. You cannot just take one person off of a platform, and say that they did it for espousing hate speech, and leave everybody up on the channel, on the platform, who does the same thing, where there's actual video evidence of them doing the same thing, and expect people to not be upset about that. The double standard is very blatant. They're blocking people who disagree with them. They don't want them posting videos. They're trying to discourage you. They'll demonetize you. Um, I, it's what do you even do? I think it's a situation where, um, you know, what are you even supposed to do about it? I mean, where the response to this is going to be people coming out and saying, we'll move to another platform. If YouTube wants to take all the conservatives off, I mean, look at Jordan Peterson, and look at what Jordan Peterson's doing with his, what was it called? ThinkSpot is his platform now, where he's allowing people, different kind of content creators, to put things online, even books. You can even put an ebook online, because I think they're going to have a store component. So if you wanted to sell a book, people who buy the book can, go to different sections of the book, see what notes other people had left, things like that. So you can kind of have a discussion going. ThinkSpot is about people. What I believe it really is it's a replacement for Patreon. And so if I'm a creator and I wanted to make cat videos, and for whatever reason, people wanted to pay me to make cat videos, well, ThinkSpot's a place that can do that now. And of course you can do that on YouTube. But it's supposed to be, you want to get away from Patreon. You want to get away from the, oh, this is hate speech. You want to go to a platform where you're not going to be censored, because your opinion is different from the CEO of the company, is different from the mainstream ideology of, or dogma of how things ought to be. And so people say, these platforms, they crop up precisely because there's no one, there's no avenue for people to go to. They created a huge market for people with differing opinions. And of course, those people with those differing opinions are going to find a place to go, and they're going to go there. And rightly so, because listen, everybody has a right, at least in the United States, because a lot of countries don't have a First Right Amendment, um, ability. America is the only country that guarantees the First Amendment, that guarantees the right to free speech for you to be able to say whatever you want. That's slowly being taken away. And it's being taken away because there's a small group of ideologues who've decided that their idea, that their way of life is the best one, And listen, that could have went any other way too, right? I mean, it could have been, they could have pushed the nationalism ideology on the mainstream media. I'm fully convinced they could have had actors come out all about it. They could have put it in movies and TV shows, and they could have done the same exact thing towards the other side, towards the right. And then people would have hated Hillary Clinton just as much as they hated Donald Trump. And so I look at the mainstream kind of narrative and the people's reaction to it, and I say, well, this was caused by the media. It's a manufactured outrage. It's manufactured crisis, manufactured social issues, economic issues, so on and so forth. And when you have a manufactured outrage, when you have when you try government to critically telling people, this is what you need to believe, this is the way that things are. Go over there. I'm recording something. Go over there. Close the door. And you see people just mindlessly droning along with that idea, droning along with the conception, not questioning the narrative, not kind of thinking critically about it, but just going along and saying, man, this person's a racist, man, this person's a Nazi, man, this person's a this, that, and the other thing. What do you expect? I think a lot of people look around and they see people and they think to themselves, oh, this person must be intelligent. This person will think through things. No, most people don't. Everybody's yelling and they can hear you. I think the way that most people see the world is you're either on my side or you're not. You're either on my team or you're not on my team. And if you're on my team, everything that you do that's bad is kind of, well, the other side deserved it. And everything you do that is good is really good. And it way outweighs the bad things. But it's not even really that. It's not even that you do good things. Right. When you have a manufactured outrage, if I feel safe, when you have as a part of this group, or I feel government influence telling people, then I immediately think that you must. This is the way that, because I think I'm a good person. What kind of person thinks that they're not? And you see people just, and even if mindlessly you do think they're bad, droning along with that idea. I'm willing to bet along with the conception. You're not questioning the narrative, on some level, okay with that, and kind of comforted knowing that other people are the same way about it. But just going along and saying, man, this person's a racist. Do something that is not that, man, this person, you do something is bad. This, that, and the other thing. You fail a test in school. What do you feel a lot better when you know that? I think a lot of people start look around 5 or 6 or 10 kids, and they also failed it to themselves. Oh, this person must be bad. You kind of feel some sense of camaraderie, intelligence in your common failure. I think the way that most people see the world. And so all that to say, you're either on my side or you're not. That you're either on my team or you're not on my team. And if you're on my team, and listen, if everything you do that's bad is kind of no harm. The other side deserved everything you did, it can be justified. And everything you do that is good is really good. If you are the devil, and it if you are way outweighs the Donald Trump of the day. But it's not even really that. It's not even that you do good things. That seems objectively good is actually evil. Usually, what it is, a plot. It's actually a setup. If I feel everything you do that is bad as a part of this group, or I feel like you are like me, I mean, it's just severely then I immediately evil. Think that you must be a good person, and that's because I think I'm a good person. People think what kind of person thinks that they're not a lot of the time. And even if you do think that you're bad, it takes to separate your emotions, or your feelings, or you're from on some level okay with that and find comfort in knowing that other people are the same way. Task. Think about a lot of adults when you not do something that not take up that mantle. That you do something is bad. Like let's say likely, much more willing to right? Point to someone better when you know that. Say, all right, tell me how it is. Start talking to I believe you. Kids following this person forever. He must be right. You don't feel as bad. You kind of feel some sense of camaraderie. Kind of getting lazy in your common analytical part of it. The whole kind of checking things out and looking into them. And so all that to say that people are tribalistic. So when I look at what happened with Trump, when I look at what happened with Hillary Clinton, you can do no harm. The country's not stupid. They know everything you did can be justified. Evil. But they know the Democrats are if you are the devil. And they want someone else. Trump, and they're saying no. We're tired of everything that you do for Americans being slowly drained of every resource that they have. Is actually they want something different. And they want something new. It's actually a plot. It's actually a setup. and everything that you do,
and that doesn't mean that it needs to be draconianly
bad.
but it's just
severely evil. That if the shoe was on the other foot and the media came out, people and they were pushing Donald Trump and trying a lot of the time blast Hillary Clinton away. It takes to separate your emotions. And they brought in all their goons, the Hollywood movie producers, objective reality, the show writers, a mighty task that a lot of adults do not. The comedians. They do not take. And they brought in everybody, all their whole network, much more. The people likely, much more willing to point to someone else about Hillary Clinton. All right, tell me how it is. About I believe Donald Trump. Following what does that tell you? Must be right. He must have the truth. Most people don't critically think, and then kind of get lazy. I'm sorry, analytical part of it. The whole people generally speaking are not checking things out and looking into them. Life is like so that. When I look at things are not always like things are not always like what happened with Hillary Clinton. Look, the country's not stupid. They know that she is. If people, she's evil as a race, were genuinely. They know the Democrats are evil. And they want have a more someone else, and they're saying no. We're tired of the of Americans being slowly drained of. But then at the same time, you can say, well, but people something new are really not more than a product, and that doesn't mean that it needs how to they grew up Donald Trump. But we all know. Let's say you really never. If the shoe was on the other foot, and the media came out, you were told that, and they were pushing Donald Trump. There's nothing beyond the stars. Blast Hillary Clinton away. What if you were told that there's nothing beyond the stars? And they brought in all their goons, the Hollywood movie producers, the people to tell you the truth, the show writers, which is a phase everybody goes through, the comedians. And they brought in everybody, all their the whole network. I wouldn't have thought critically because I didn't think that that was something you would have had to think critically about Hillary Clinton. What do you want me to do? Question they do now about Donald Trump, and what does that tell you? Most people don't critically think. Not everyone always comes to the bottom of the truth barrel. I'm sorry. Not everybody always goes, and not everybody people generally speaking don't get me wrong. Smart. It's not like, oh, I know what this is, I know what that is. I'm suddenly superior to you. Life is like that. Because guess what? Okay, things are not always all. But in fact, even the very thought proves that you're not. Because it's not what Jesus taught. If people as a race were genuinely intelligent, I think if we want to be, then they'd have a more critical eye in terms of. But then at the same time, you can say, well, we have to set aside. Are really say, listen, a majority of the than a product of majority of the population how they grew up, believe whatever the media tells them. And let's say you really never honestly taught to think critically. Oh, hey, like the you were told news, which is happening. There's nothing beyond the stars. I mean, just look at the election of 2016. What if you were told that there's nothing beyond the stars? Well, you never bother to question it. People are like, listen, we're not trusted the people to tell you the truth. Get out of here. Get out of here. Which is a phase everybody goes through. We're done. We're tired of this mainstream narrative that is not and it's true. Like, well, I wouldn't have thought critically because I didn't think that was something you would have to think critically about. It's I'm over it. And what do you want me to do? Question everything? So when people kind of went around and they said, look, not everyone always comes to the bottom of the truth. Hillary Clinton, not everybody always goes, and not everybody needs doesn't mean that Donald Trump is the best thing. It's not like, but the fact of the matter is, this is I know what that is. I don't like suddenly superior to you. Their reasoning for why they don't like Trump is because what? Oh, well, everybody else doesn't hate Trump, or everybody else. In fact, even the very thought proves that you're not. I mean, that's really the reasoning. They don't know the policies. Okay, all they know is what they hear on the TV. If we want to be the shows, better people in terms of videos and lyrics. What they hear other people talk about, the videos that other people put out. We have to say the same things. Just get recycled. Listen, the majority of the chamber. Let's be realistic. And then when you have majority of the population like YouTube believe whatever the media tells them because they're not putting until up the correct content, the right amount of content. Oh, hey, the media all these things, which is happening. And then how media. I mean, just look at the election of 2016. Out of nowhere, was a big, they are now the social arbiters notice of what is truth and what is not. We're not falling for this anymore. That's where we end up. Get out of here. Is a world where we're done. We're tired of this mainstream narrative that is not true. These people get to just decide. Oh, this is what you can have. This is what you can't have. It's I'm over it. Who are you to now? In a very elitist way, kind of went around and they said, "People can't see this. People can't see that." No, it's because they know. Listen, that was amazing. It doesn't mean that Donald Trump is the best thing.
You tell somebody
but
something
the fact
long
of the
enough,
matter is
when
when you talk to people who
truth
don't like
get buried,
Trump, regardless
their
of what the
reasoning
truth
for
is, it
why
doesn't
they
even
don't like
matter what
Trump
the truth is
is
at that
because
point.
oh well, everybody else
like
doesn't
look
hate
what the
Trump.
media is doing now.
Or everybody else
They're
does
burying
hate Trump.
any possible story.
I mean, then that's really the reasoning. They don't know
collusion by the
policies.
Democrats. They're pushing in all these stories about Donald Trump, whether they're true or not.
Shows,
what ends up happening is it's swept under the rug
and the lyrics
from public conversation.
What they hear other people talk about, the videos
just
that other
filling
people
in
put out because they hear the
funnel
same things. Just get
with all this
recycled
garbage.
Huge echo
You don't get
chamber.
any of the nutrients. You
And
don't
then
get
when
to
you have
see
websites like YouTube
real justice
taking
being
people
done. It's
offline because they're
manufactured.
not
putting up the correct content, the right amount of content. Oh, this is hate speech. And
so when you see,
media,
like Dan Bongino on
just
his
decides
podcast,
out of nowhere
going out
they
there
are
and
now
saying,
the
hey,
social arbiters.
look, this is happening. It's a big
what is
story.
truth and what is not.
Married your brother.
That's when we. That's where we end up. Is a world
immigration
where,
law
is a world where
did some shady stuff with their taxes.
These people get to just decide.
That doesn't hit the front page.
This is what you can have. This is what you can have. This is what, and it's like
a member of the Democratic ruling class
who are
of America
you to now,
in a very elitist way to say that
no,
we can't really do this.
We kind of have to.
It's because they know. Listen,
it's okay. Just
let her. Kids will be kids, right?
If you tell somebody something long enough, they'll start to believe it.
It's such a double standard, and the people let it happen,
regardless of what the truth is.
It doesn't even matter what there were cases that should have been taken up.
Look what the media is doing now. They're burying
any possible story, a recommendation for prosecution
collusion by the Democrats. They're pushing in all these stories about Donald Trump, whether they're true or not. And what ends up happening is swept under the rug.
Said this earlier in his podcast. There's no accountability for
public conversation.
So what are
precisely
we doing?
Because
they're
giving the federal government
the funnel
power
with all this garbage.
They're not going to get any of the nutrients.
What happens if they mess it up?
Really they screw over
and it's manufactured
millions of jobs like Obama did.
It's manufactured.
What are we going to do? We're going to vote them out of office? Oh,
like wow, we really showed them.
So when you see,
they have no
Dan Bongino on his podcast,
they have so much power
going out there and saying, hey, look, this is happening. It's a big story.
What happens to Ilhan Omar?
Married your brother.
Ocasio-Cortez push
to evade
racism, increased tensions in America, and then
what? Immigration law.
Maybe one of them gets unelected.
Shady stuff with their taxes.
Them.
That doesn't hit the
front
page.
This is why the federal government can't have power.
It's inconvenient.
A member of the Democratic
the budget
ruling
is
class
huge.
of America.
And you can say, but we spread it out against so many people.
It doesn't work for
That's
them.
arguably worse.
No, we can't really do this.
Now the responsibility is even more diffused.
It's okay.
We're just going to turn around and blame all this person.
This person, right?
And that's what politicians always do, especially around
such a double standard.
And the people let it in, regardless of how much merit is attached to that.
There were cases that should have been
at the end of the day, nothing gets done.
Why wasn't Hillary Clinton prosecuted?
Who's the person we point to?
There's no one that we
a recommendation
for prosecution taken. There's no accountability for Congress.
And Dan Bongino said
there's
this
very little
accountability
for There's no accountability for these people.
It's like,
who's to stop these judges from going out there and giving our federal government
in favor of their political party?
They're not. Who are they accountable
Democrats
to? What happens if they mess it up? What happens if they screw over
down every attempt by the president?
Millions of jobs like Obama did.
Strengthen the border.
What are we going to do? We're going to vote them out of office?
Saying, you can't do this for this. You can't do this for that.
We really showed them.
They have no accountability, but they have so much power. And so,
inordinate amounts of power. What happens? Well,
Ilhan Omar,
Ocasio-Cortez push racism,
increased tensions in America.
Really sucks.
Maybe one of them gets unelected.
We showed them.
This is why the federal government can't have power. They get the budget is huge, and you can say, but we spread it out against so many people. That's arguably worse. Now the responsibility is even more diffused. People are just going to turn around and blame, this person did this, this person did this, person. And that's what politicians always do, especially around election season. And regardless of how much merit is attached to that, at the end of the day, nothing gets done. And who's the person we point to? There's no one that we point to. There's no accountability for Congress. There's very little accountability for the president. There's very little accountability. It's like, who's to stop these judges from going out there and giving rulings
we don't have more
in favor of their political party?
Kind of out there to
like the Democrats
kind of
turn around and say, listen, shutting down every attempt by the president.
Where's
the strengthen the border? The organization
you can do this for this,
that's going to come forth and say, hey, you can't do this, Democrats. Surprise, surprise. And so, yeah, and the answer is it's that it's something that those organizations, those would-be people, it's something that's kind of something that really, hey, listen, Democrats, you need to check. I really hope that on yourself. This is exactly the reason why Donald Trump was elected into office in the first place. Is that the people felt like they could not they couldn't. They didn't have a voice. They weren't being represented at this level. And so now to go into, listen, I mean, they're really burying themselves with what they're doing in Congress right now. These people are not doing anything for the benefit of the very people that they say they represent. They've literally come out, the Democrats, and have said, oh, well, Trump did this. He's racist. He's trying to get illegal. What? Are you kidding me? Do you know why Trump was elected in 2016? And in 2018, your running platform is going to be unelect Donald Trump. And so when you you don't think that the economy is doing really well? When you have that level of, want to talk about it. Listen, we have a Democratic Party that is so, what people cannot do. I'm not defending the Republicans either, because I think the Republicans have a lot of garbage amongst their ranks. That's where people who are bought, paid for by the Koch brothers and others, and they just don't do anything. They're inept, and they shouldn't be there either. So don't get me wrong, but these Republicans, I mean, but these Democrats, their whole shtick is sticking it to Donald Trump. Their whole shtick is getting more illegal immigrants into the United States, not because they care about convention. We don't have a couple years ago, while Obama was in office, they were saying, "Oh, we need more, mainstream media. Listen, like where's the, we need to have stricter immigration laws." The organization, like but now it's going to come forth and say, it's just flipped over. Hey, you can't do this, Democrats. Not necessarily because it's Donald Trump, but because it's a way to stick it to the man. Two, it's because they know, listen, that those organizations, those would-be people, those been out of touch with the American people for a long time. Hey, listen, Democrats, you look at the disaster on yourself. This is exactly the reason why complete disaster. Donald Trump was elected into office in the first place. As far as I'm concerned, the people felt like they could not, to see someone they couldn't try to. They didn't have a voice. They weren't being represented at this level. They want their power. And so they're not going to go into power for anything. I mean, they're really burying themselves. Call somebody a racist, call someone a xenophobe, call someone whatever they need to do in Congress right now. From gaining power, these people are not doing anything for the power systems in check. Very just today, that they, we have say they represent. They've literally come out. The Democrats stories come out about the Democrats. Trump did this. He's more racist. And more stories come out about this tax censorship. Are you kidding me? Look at what the do you know why Trump was elected in 2016? Look at what the left in 2018 is today. Your running platform is going to be unelect Donald Trump. The constitutional rights of Americans. You don't think that the economy is doing really well? Hate speech. We want to talk about the political correctness thing. The Democratic Party, normal everyday. I'm not defending the Republicans either, because I think the Republicans have a lot of these garbage amongst their ranks. These Democrats are trying to get people to speak. You can't police the Koch brothers and others, and they just don't do anything. They're inept. Literally, either. But in America, don't get me wrong, you cannot police the things that Republicans. I mean, and there's a reason why we have the First Amendment. There's a reason why you're not allowed is sticking it to Donald Trump. Their whole stick is getting more illegal immigrants into the United States. The reason why the First Amendment exists is to protect a couple years ago, right? Obama was in office. There were other people. We need more offensive. That was the whole point. We need to have stricter immigration laws, government to protect that. But now the whole flip, criticize the government, to criticize power, not necessarily because it's Donald Trump, Democrats, but because it's a way to it's a way to stick it to the man. But we're not. It's because they know, listen, that they're falling out of touch with the American people. It is about been out of touch with the American people for a long time. Everything you say, and this is what's happening today. Obama's presidency today. I'm not predicting what's going to happen. This is what is happening today. As far as other people have talked about, is going to happen. A long time ago, weeks and weeks come in and try to years ago. Oh, they don't want that. Of course, they don't want that. They want their power. Now they're not going to give power for anything, and they'll just go and call somebody racist, call someone a xenophobe, call someone whatever they need to do. And they're trying to turn it into law now. From gaining power. In order to keep stop. No, it's not where it's going to stop. Their power system. You criticize law about immigration, hate speech. You criticize. It just keeps coming. The more and more. This is what they're doing now with Ilhan Omar. Stories come out about the Democrats. She married her brother. More and more stories stories come out about
allegedly married her
this
brother,
tech censorship.
Just look at what the left, if you question that, just look at what the left is today.
And that's they
literally
deny
what
the
constitutional rights
and
of
you
Americans.
This is why
you cannot
these people,
say
they're
that is racist.
evil. They're just straight up
evil.
evil.
The political
Can
correctness
Can
thing.
you imagine?
Normal,
and this is the whole shtick Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez has been pulling. You say one thing about Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, and
these
what comes
Democrats
out?
are trying to get people to
what comes out of her mouth? You can't police the words that someone
Racist,
says.
xenophobe, this,
literally.
that. I mean, it's just like,
but
it's just like a slur.
In America,
you cannot police
God
the
forbid
things
you're
that people
white,
say.
or
you know,
even,
and there's
it's
a
funny too
reason why
because
we have the First
Dave
Amendment.
Rubin's
There's a reason why
he's
you're
very
not
liberal
allowed.
guy. He's gay,
But because he happens to not be so far
tell someone,
left,
oh, that's hate speech.
Listen,
then,
the whole reason why the First Amendment exists,
these fringe groups, I mean, that's what they are.
The person's
crazy.
right
People are
to
psychopaths.
say things
I mean, we're not,
that
I don't,
other
going
people
too much into it, but they're psychopaths.
Find offensive.
But the reason why a lot of people don't, kind of go and veer into that direction,
to protect the people's right to criticize the government, to criticize power.
Know what to say about
and
it.
yes, in this case, well, the Democrats lie to you.
I'm getting like so
and tell you that,
but we're not. It's not about protecting
power.
Democrats,
it's about protecting the little man. No, it is about protecting power.
I mean, it's
crazy. Everything you say,
they're just,
and this is what's happening today. Today, I'm not predicting what's going to happen. This is what is happening today. This is what other people have talked about. It's going to happen.
Too much control.
A long time ago, weeks and weeks, and
there's something else.
Years ago, something else that is happening. The decades ago.
The chance for the people
now
to stand up and say,
"No, you cannot do this. No, you cannot do this. No,
say these words.
They give cool, and they would shame you."
This may be surprise to some people.
Into law
but
now. Oh, you can
having.
You think that's where it's going to stop? No, it's not where it's going to stop.
Having the right
you criticize this law about immigration. Hate speech.
You criticize
a liberal position.
This is what they're doing now with
Ilhan Omar.
Liberal
question why she married her brother. They used to be
allegedly
one of the key tenets of liberalism. Do what you want as long as you're not hurting someone else. If you question
now
they've
expanded
your definition to include coddling the entire nation, and that's literally what they're doing today.
Feel bad then,
and you can't
notice that they'll
never
these people
say the same about a Christian though.
They're just straight up evil,
bashing Jesus and not recognizing him. The same way that we do Islam, or Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez has been pulling.
You say one thing about Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez
and what comes out.
Clowns.
What comes out of her mouth. And they should be ridiculed.
Racist,
these people should be ridiculed.
And then Facebook will come out and say,
slur, like
YouTube will come out and say, "Oh, look at this guy's promoting,
God forbid you're white,
intolerance,
or even
exactly what Carlos Maza said on
Dave Rubin's.
But what he's fairly liberal guy, he's
gay,
but because he happens to not be so far
left,
I thought it was okay for him to do that
because he's intersectional, he's
far left
Latino,
these fringe groups. I mean, that's what they are. They're crazy.
Perfect.
He does wrong, and he's amazing.
They're psychopaths.
And everybody else is hateful and
but
evil,
the reason why a lot of people
if they criticize him, they criticize him because
go
he's
and
gay
veer
and
into that direction.
Listen, like
no one cares, dude. No one cares.
I don't even know what to say about it.
No one cares. I'm sorry. No one's gonna bully you about it.
I'm getting like so worked up.
Actually,
I'm so like
actually
Democrats
no one cares
stop.
about that. That's not a thing. It's not a thing that
I mean, it's crazy. I mean, these people
they're just
about, man.
Oh,
he's just playing a card,
man,
and he's garbage for doing that.
These people, they have too much power.
Who are you?
Too much control.
You think that people really care?
And even if they did,
who are you to care that other
people will say stuff about you?
The chance for the
Live
people
your
to
life,
stand up and to
dude.
say no, you cannot do this. No, you cannot
you
do
need
this.
to take down an entire.
This may be a surprise to some people
of
small creators,
having
all different kinds of people,
because somebody said something about you,
having
didn't like,
the right to say whatever you want to say. Used to be a liberal position.
This shows to be a liberal
the sheer lack
idea,
of responsibility.
For some people, about
one of the key tenets of
their life
do what you want as long as you're not
hurting
someone else.
But now they've expanded
the connections that they have, the connections that they coddling the entire nation.
It's mind blowing to me
that makes you feel bad.
This kind of thing would happen.
Notice that they'll never say the same about a Christian, though. Us bashing Jesus and not recognizing him the same way we do Islam or other.
That's not hate speech.
They're just full of double standards.
These people are jokes. They're clowns.
This would kind of go in another direction where we kind of say
they should be ridiculed.
Hey,
these people should be ridiculed.
And then Facebook will come out and say, we're going to guarantee, look at this guy's come back together.
No, the left has gone
all the way off the.
This is exactly what Carlos Maza said.
If this was
the
edge,
but what
they're all the way up
there.
They're like 100%. they're like Wile E. Coyote.
Oh, it's not
like
okay for him to do that
like
because he's
intersectional,
he's
Latino,
he's still running in the air, and he's
gay.
That's
So
them.
that means
They're done.
Perfect,
They're
he
over.
does no wrong.
And I really hope.
Amazing.
I thought this would have been 2018, so I'm holding my breath. So I'm not going to hold my breath for 2020. And if they criticize him, they're criticizing him because he's gay.
In 2018,
listen, I don't know if it's
no
that
one
people
cares,
didn't go out and vote, or it's
no
that,
one cares
that you're gay. Like no one gives.
A lot more.
The people in the big cities went out to vote.
No one's going to bully you about it.
There was some level of fraud there.
Actually cares.
But like actually, no one cares about that. That's
not a thing.
So I don't know, man. People like the Donald Trump
stay up at night about.
2018 really kind of like brought.
He's just playing a card.
These huge question marks. I voted in 2018 for our senators, for our representatives. And
really one guy
and even if they did, who are you to care that other people say stuff about you? However,
live your life, dude.
People's votes do matter. You need to take down an entire.
If you go out there and you do say, hey, this is what I think, this is what I believe, is so on and so forth.
It does matter, man. Going out there and meeting new people, getting
somebody said something about you didn't like.
That swings an election.
You don't want people to be.
A lot of people go out there and they're willing to learn, they're willing to do all this stuff. That really this shows you.
So it's
sad.
The sheer lack of
more responsibility.
Do that. But I don't want to get off into
about the
too many tangents here. Even though this
life
situation
about
tangent after tangent, which actually I'm fine with. I don't care.
The connection that they have, the connections that they could have.
More of the kind of
it's just mind blowing to me
that
this kind of thing would happen. Someone needs to.
Oh
man, this is me ranting. These people, they make my blood boil. This is me ranting because they're so dumb. But I don't think they're really dumb. You know when people
this
would
kind
of go in another direction where we'd kind of say,
and it's actually evil.
Hey, there's some things
when you
know that you're being dishonest,
we're going to
push out a narrative, we're going to come back together. When you know that you're telling people
all the way
things that aren't actually
like if this was
the Democrats are like the doctor,
if this was the
who tells the patient,
all the way out there, like
they're like, so you have that, and then you don't really have
like Wile E. Coyote
to get more money out of
after he's like he's ran off the ledge, and
he's still running in there about these children.
Maybe
they're done. They're over.
And I really hope, and I thought this would have been in 2018.
So I'm holding my breath.
So I'm not going to hold my breath for 2020.
She's equating the living conditions.
In 2018,
at the border,
I don't know if it's that people didn't go out and vote,
or concentration camps, or at least what we're told about
the people in the big cities went out to vote, and I'm
sure there was some level of fraud there. But
she's essentially equating
gas chambers.
So I don't know, man. Have people like
Donald Trump,
but
living conditions.
2018 really kind of like
starved, like these huge question marks.
Forced to do
I voted in 2018 for all manner of senators, for our representatives.
And I'm just one guy who makes one vote, and so
my vote is
for a couple hours.
The penultimate,
which I believe that
photo wasn't even from Trump's time. I believe that was from.
If you go out there and you do
say, this is what I think, this is what I believe, and so on and so forth.
Of a kid,
it does matter, man.
Like
going out there and meeting new people, getting other people.
If a lot of people,
and I think the context was different too.
And so it's just,
and so a lot of people go out there and they're willing to learn, they're willing to do all this stuff. That really does swing elections.
So it's sad
that more people. I'm sorry. I'm at a point where I don't want to get off into too many tangents here, even though this whole rant has been just tangent. The mainstream media, I'm fine with. Garbage. It's not even
too much.
It's not. This is more of the kind of format. It's an entertainment network based on conspiracy theories. We're talking about like CNN pushed the Trump thing, the Russia connection for 2 years, man. And it was completely bogus.
So
completely bogus. It wasn't like a little bit.
But I don't think they're really dumb.
You know when people know. And then they have the nerve to at the same time.
And it's actually evil.
Other websites and other outlets and say that they're pushing fake news. That all this is fake news. That all this
pushing out a narrative.
It's like, come on, man. When you know that you're telling people things that aren't actually, and you did it on purpose.
The Democrats wanted to get you ratings.
Who tells the patient,
fit your agenda.
Oh, you have this, you have that, and then you don't really have it
because if
to get more money out of you.
These people
that's what they're doing. They don't care about the public well-being. Maybe some of them do. Maybe
honest journalism.
They care about lining their own pockets.
Super hard about her
concentration camp. She's equating
filling whatever other agenda they have,
whatever
in
political aspiration
at the border
to political goals that they
concentration
they want to get past. Stuff like that, they're going to,
or at least what we're told,
but anything that's inconvenient, anything that goes against their narrative,
she believes
goes against collective elitist, she's essentially equating
gas
shoved right out the door completely. For living conditions.
I'm not a fan of Trump,
really necessarily.
I certainly
am not a fan of him for the same reason than the majority of people. Because I think they're just all manner of evil.
Okay,
I'm sorry. listen,
to
in the real world,
if
people are racist, that's a thing. Okay,
which I believe that photo wasn't even from
even
Trump's
if that was
time.
rare.
I believe that was from
100% guaranteed
video.
Democrats are way more racist. In fact, Democrats are actually the only
in a cage or something like that.
That actually
was actually from
racist.
Obama's time,
because I think that
and
I think the context
the entire world.
So it's just. And so it's like
literally
the
in terms of skin color, literally in terms of victimization.
They're so dishonest,
and it's really evil.
Look,
I'll tell you
sorry. I'm at a point
it's really
where
evil because when you claim, when you
I think we're all at a point. We're so
tired
of tell someone when you
the mainstream media is
you're going to be this because
it's
that,
not
or you're
even
stuck here because
that.
It's not
news, man.
Listen,
it's an entertainment network
some level
based on
conspiracy
theories.
We're talking about like CNN.
Listen,
where you've been before
the Trump
thing. You're going to go out from that
Russia.
I mean, that's it.
For 2 years,
that's just how it is, right?
Man.
I mean, some people
it was completely
bogus.
Fewer resources.
Completely bogus.
That's a fact.
It wasn't like a little bit true. It was fake.
Life is not going to magically become perfect, and it's certainly not going to become perfect.
And then they have the nerve
for me
going
at the same time
taking his resources,
other websites and other outlets.
That's not going to make my life
fake news.
They're pushing fake news. That all this is fake news.
I'm sorry. There's no amount of money, no amount of monetary anything.
Seriously,
you lied.
It's going to fix
people.
You
know
it does.
You knew that one,
it would get you
taking responsibility.
Two, it fits your agenda.
Responsibility for your life situation.
You just didn't give a damn. You didn't give a damn.
Because it fits
for
where
you
are, for your own level of happiness, for your
these people are evil. They don't care
spiritual
about the public
well-being.
They don't care about
when
doing
you tell other people that
they're
not
responsible for all those things,
lining their own
they've been
pockets.
victims of things their whole lives.
That's why they're
covering
and
Trump.
That's exactly what the Democrats
and feeling whatever
other
agenda they have. Whatever
if you're told
political
that,
aspiration,
you can't, you didn't go to college, but they have
you didn't do this,
they want to get passed.
You didn't do this because
stuff like that.
They're going to
what power do you have in your life?
And who wants to live a life
that goes against
where they don't have any control over
against
collective?
They don't have any control over
so many things that are so vitally important.
Desire.
Shoved right out the door,
as opposed to telling somebody and raising them.
While I'm not a fan of Trump,
really,
a lot of
leftist ideology is very childish.
Am not a fan of him.
It's very childish
for the same reason the majority
sees the world through a lens of
babies.
Okay,
and
I'm
sorry.
I think they're very mistaken because
in
a
the
lot
real
of them
world,
point to the right,
if
people are
more
racist,
conservative values, and they say,
okay,
that is just
these people are heartless. These people don't care about other people.
No,
that's not true at all. That's actually not
100% guaranteed.
Democrats
are
way more
rated.
In fact,
Democrats are actually the only group
people
politically that actually is racist.
Because I think that
they see the entire world
is like
literally in terms of skin color.
What makes you think
literally in terms of
this is exactly what I was talking about before?
It becomes tribalistic.
And
people
it's
can't
really
like
evil.
And I don't think this peanut brain
it's
cannot
really evil because when you claim, when you tell someone that they're a victim,
when you tell someone, when you disempower people by telling them, "Oh, but you're going to be this because that," or
you're live in a world where you can just say whatever you wanted to say.
I don't deny that there's some level
calling you
peanut brain doesn't mean I actually think that you're.
Listen, where you've been before.
Necessarily,
you're going to go out from that point.
I mean, that's it. I mean, that's just how it is, right? I mean, some people
are
born with fewer resources.
Right? I'm just
listen, that's a fact of life. In a way that's unfiltered, in a way that's not too bad.
Life is not going to magically become perfect,
and it's certainly not going to become perfect for me. Killing my neighbor, taking his resources, that's not going to make my life 100%. So I'm not sorry.
I'm sorry. There's no amount of money, no amount of monetary anything.
We used to live in a country where
going to fix
people.
You know
what it does?
Fix people
talk about what they want.
Taking responsibility.
Taking responsibility for your life situation. Taking responsibility for
what are you eating?
What kind of noodles do you eat tonight?
For where you are, for your own level of happiness.
For your, I don't know. I could say something funny like that.
A spiritual connection.
You know what's evil when you tell other people that they're not responsible for all those things. That they've been victims of things their whole lives. It's evil, and that's exactly what the Democrats do.
It
disempowers you. If you're told that. You didn't go to a good college because somebody else. You didn't do this because somebody.
These people are never going to be able to deal with
what power do you have?
Listen, everybody
who wants to live a life
dealt with
where they don't have any control over anything.
They
don't have any control over so many things that were so vitally important.
Dealt you the best hand.
People have absolutely been
as opposed to telling somebody and raising people.
But you're still here. This is the thing. I think that a lot of leftist ideology is very childish.
And I think it's very challenging.
If you work hard,
sees the world through a lens
it's not guaranteed you're going to get to where you want to be.
They're very mistaken because a lot of them point to the right, to point to more conservative values.
I love that. I love that.
These people are heartless.
Way more
care about other people.
No, that's not true at all.
It's
actually not true at all.
It's a very uneducated thing to say.
Why? Because
of course people on the right care about people.
Saying that
real sad about that
is like.
Be sad.
What makes you
angry?
Think that? This is exactly what I was talking about before. It becomes tribalistic. People can't that this peanut brain cannot differentiate between. I know I'm being like a little rude or whatnot, but listen, we used to live in a world where you can just say whatever you wanted to say. Listen, me calling you peanut brain doesn't mean I actually think that you're stupid.
Why?
Necessarily,
because you've been oppressed.
I mean, I think you say stupid things sometimes. doesn't mean I think you're stupid. Listen, I'm just trying to speak. All right, I'm just trying to talk.
Reparation?
I'm trying to talk in a way that's unfiltered, in a way that's not too bad.
This is how they operate.
Just trying to think about the whole world in terms of.
And I'm being a little bit facetious there. I mean, listen, we should fund public schools. We should.
So I'm not
do a lot of stuff at a lower level. But we used to live in a country where people can just say that.
Big are we going to let the government
what they want?
Or could go to my
so many different things.
My Asian friend and say,
guarantee healthcare for all.
Kind of noodles listen, that would be excellent.
Like no one is saying that we should not,
have some kind of something to help the people at the
very bottom of the ladder.
He's Asian.
But the fact of the matter is,
government cannot be big because government is awful at everything that it attempts to do because it does not have a level of accountability. It is not people spending their own money.
These people are
that's
never
what it goes down to.
That is the bottom line
who's watched this.
When you have someone else
spending someone else's money
for someone else,
there's no level of accountability. I don't have to make. I don't care if it's the best service. I don't care. It's not my money.
Here,
I'm not going to receive the service.
I don't care.
You can get to where you want to do is get reelected. I'm sorry. That's how the game goes. That's why government needs to be small.
It's not guaranteed you're going to be. You're going to get to where you want to be.
But you can definitely get into a better spot.
Free healthcare for everybody's good. I love that.
Yes,
I love that.
But it's
way
sorry,
more
than
I love hearing.
Life we live. It's not like that's not the place. This isn't. This isn't Candyland. I'm sorry. The real world.
Because you've been oppressed.
Yes, we are the most wealthy nation of the in the.
You need to be real sad about that.
In the world. However, we are also a country that doesn't take care of its own people.
But you vote me into power.
All right, I'm gonna end the video here.
Stuff.
I feel like I'm kind of like letting out all this like steam inside and like stuff. If you guys like the video, share it with your friends.
How about
help us spread the message.
A free car? How about a free house?
Really, how much or how
because you've been oppressed.
How well the podcast the video goes depends on viewership. It depends on engagement. It depends on how they operate. You think about the whole world in terms of, and I'm being a little bit facetious.
Enjoy the content.
I mean, I'll still put the videos out there.
Fund public schools.
Even if no one's watching it.
Do a lot of stuff at a lower level.
But
if you guys do share it, I mean, that helps
me. That helps me a lot. Listen, you want to help me? You want to help me make more videos, do more stuff like that,
to be able to
guarantee healthcare for all
by
sharing
that.
It would be excellent. I think no one is saying that we should not, have
some kind of
something to help the next one. Take it easy.
Very bottom of the ladder.